Hello and welcome to a new episode of Optics Trade Debates. Today, Andras will help me to explain, my name is Theodore, will help me to explain a common term associated with binoculars, and this is relative brightness. You can find this term and all the values in specification table on our webpage with all binoculars. So, Andras, I think you did a research what's important with relative brightness, and you have prepared a couple of questions.
Yes. First, I would like to ask you. So we have only binoculars. So I would say that relative brightness applies only to binoculars, right?
Yeah, it was always specified in specification only binoculars and no other devices, which is also logical from the point of view that relative brightness changes with the change of a diameter of the exit pupil. And with rifle scopes and all other devices, you usually have a variable magnification, so the exit pupil always changes in diameter. With binoculars, 99.9% of all the binoculars are fixed magnification, so you have a fixed diameter of the exit pupil and fixed relative brightness normally.
So how do you calculate? There is a mathematical formula to calculate relative brightness.
Well, relative brightness is it's a mathematical term, I could say. It's just a square of the exit pupil diameter. That means if you have let's say 7 by 50 binoculars with an exit pupil, or let's say 8 by 56, it's even more accurate. 8 by 56 binoculars, they have an exit pupil of 7 millimeters.
That's right.
We have another video about exit pupils, how you calculate them. You calculate them by dividing the objective diameter in millimeters with a magnification. So 8 by 56 means 56 divided by 8 is 7 millimeters. So a square of 7 is 49. So we know that 8 by 56 binoculars, they have a exit pupil of 7 millimeters and they have a relative brightness of 49 millimeters.
So this was once a very important piece of information, but nowadays it's not that used anymore because of all the coatings, right? And
true, it's like this. In the past, especially before the Second World War, majority of producers of optics used normal glass without any coatings. And normally there were differences between different types of glass, but still, because there was no coatings, the main factor how a binocular, how bright it will be, was the magnification and the objective lens diameter. And at that time you could calculate with relative brightness how different binoculars will perform in low light. So you were able to compare, let's say 10 by 40 with 8 by 42, and you knew from the relative brightness that 8 by 42 will be much brighter than 10 by 42, let's say. But this was in the past, before all the technology became available with all the coatings, with all different types of glass and so on, different types of prisms, which influence the performance in low light much more than just this basic geometrical term of relative brightness.
so the same probably applies to twilight factor, the term is also not that used anymore.
It's not anymore. So relative brightness is, we can be honest and say, useless today, because the quality of optics differs so much. This is the first reason, because now a difference between binoculars for 100 euros and binoculars for 3000 euros in terms of glass quality, coatings quality, light transmission rate and so on is so big that even if the cheap binoculars have better relative brightness, they will still not be equally bright in low light.
So a compact pair of binoculars might perform better in low light conditions than some, let's say, cheaper version with bigger objective lens.
Let's be really direct and say, if you have a compact size of Swarovski or Leica, especially, let's say 8 by 30 Leica, and you compare it with 8 by 56 from Alibaba for $20, the Leica, even though it's much smaller, it has much worse relative brightness, calculated relative brightness, it will still perform better in
because
light.
of fully multi-coated lenses, right?
Yeah, and glass quality and so on. So basically relative brightness is not important anymore.
We have two more terms to explain here. These are the minimal relative brightness and the maximal relative brightness.
Well, it's not really a term. It's when they were still calculating the brightness, relative brightness. Even today, many producers still specify relative brightness for their binoculars, even though it's useless. But I am observing a pattern that more and more producers are just are not specifying this term anymore, because everybody knows that it's useless and so on. But what it is true, all the binoculars have a exit pupil diameter between at least 1 millimeter and 7 millimeter. 7 millimeter is the top value which is still usable by your eye, because the eye cannot cannot go further than 7 millimeters apart. So the maximum relative brightness which is feasible is 49 square from 7. On the other side, 1 millimeter, it's really tiny exit pupil, and your eye has problems of utilizing it. So on the other side, I would say most of the binoculars, they don't go below 1 millimeter exit pupil, and that basically means that the minimal relative brightness is 2. Not 2, it's 1. Yes. 1 squared, 1 it's 1.
Yeah.
So the relative brightness goes from 1 to 49. So this is the range in which relative brightness can be found with
but
many
this
binoculars.
Is again no longer useful piece of information because of the...
We could stop this video at the beginning.
Yes.
The simple question would be, is relative brightness still useful today? No.
But still, we think it's important for our customers to know how it was used in the past. Right?
Yeah, to see a historical background, because the first thing what changed in history with binoculars is that the glass quality, the coatings and the prism quality and so on went substantially up compared. The second thing is that now we only have standard configurations. Majority of binoculars are either 8 by 32, 10 by 32, 8 by 42, 10 by 42, 8 by 56, 10 by 56. So there are not so many different configurations anymore than there were in the past. In the past, there were many different configurations, many unusual diameters of the lenses, many unusual magnifications, which were not rounded numbers. You could have 6.7 by 42 millimeters, and at that time it was really harder to know which binoculars would perform better in low light, because today we know 8 by 42 will perform better than 10 by 42, or 8 by 56 will perform better than 8 by 42. But in the past, when you have really different diameters of the lenses and really different magnifications, this was much harder to really know instantly which one will be better in low light. At that time, relative brightness was important. Important information and useful information, but not anymore.
Thank you very much.
I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you gained some valuable information. I hope we didn't forget something, but if we did, send us an email or use comments. And normally, if you like the video, please subscribe and stay tuned.
Thank you.